And you know what to do because our classroom is being garbled up. It's time to text and tag. Let everybody know that loves Dr. Joel Fuhrman, and maybe people who don't even know who Dr. Joel Fuhrman is, which I don't know who those people are, but let them know that Dr. Fuhrman is in the classroom, and we're going to be talking about looking or staying younger longer. That is the topic for today with Dr. Fuhrman. I'm going to go ahead and start the record button. And here we go. Okay, everybody, it's time to get really serious about taking your health back and looking younger longer with Dr. Joel Fuhrman. And so fasten your seatbelt because we're going to learn and grow together. Here we go. It's time to dance.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, today, as I mentioned earlier before I hit my record button, it is time to really look at our life and our health. What is it? There's so many benefits to optimal health, optimal eating. There's so many benefits. And we've talked about many of them when it comes to staying healthy with Dr. Joel Fuhrman, world-renowned New York Times bestselling author, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, who has been sharing the lessons that he's learned and the research that he's benefited from, and we've benefited from since 2015. So today we're going to look at the exterior. What is it that food does to us on our exterior? So today we're going to talk to Dr. Joel Fuhrman about how to look younger longer. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Joel Fuhrman is here to do just that. Welcome back, Dr. Fuhrman, to the classroom.
Hi.
Hi.
Great to be here.
Nice to see you. And so today we're going to be talking about looking younger longer. And so I know that you are jotting down all the things that we're going to be talking about, but let's talk about, before we talk about the things that we do, is aging the way that some people age and some people, the way we age, is that normal, or is that a result of pushing our body to depletion on a regular basis?
Well, there's a few different factors that are intertwined that control the way we age and how fast we age. But the major factor is the amount of calories we consume. That's the major factor is the calories and how much fat is on the body. Because we have a biological clock, and the biological clock is affected by our metabolic rate. And our metabolic rate is equivalent to the rate at which we're aging. The faster we're burning calories, the faster we're aging. The slower we're burning calories, the slower we're aging. So the body now, if I consume, let's say my body's basal metabolic requirements are 1,500 calories a day. So if I consume 1,700 calories a day, 200 calories over that basal metabolic rate, those extra calories are there to put fat on the body. Now, if I exercise them off, they wouldn't put fat on the body. I could raise my metabolic requirements by just exercising 200 calories a day, and then I could be taking in 700 calories a day, and that would be fine. But if I was taking in 1,700 calories a day and I was only utilizing the 1,500, then the extra 200 calories would turn into fat. We expect it to turn into fat. And there's about 3,500 calories per pound of body fat. So that means an extra 100 calories a day times 350 days a year would be an extra 10 pounds for every 100 calories extra a day you consume, or about 20 pounds of body weight for extra 200 calories a day. So I took in 1,700 calories a day, the extra bagel, the extra cookie a day, and I gained at the end of the year 20 pounds, right?
Yeah.
That's not what happens. The body doesn't gain 20 pounds. Let me explain what happens. The body knows that fat is so harmful to its existence that it'll raise the metabolic rate to try to burn off the extra calories you consume, and it won't store it as fat. So when you're storing fat, you only store 10 pounds of body fat, even though you consumed more than 7,000 calories extra over the year. You'll only score 8 to 10 pounds of body fat. You won't put on 20 pounds of body fat because the body will speed up its respiratory quotient, the amount of calories burned through breathing. It'll breathe faster. It'll burn off more calories, exercising your lungs more. It'll raise the body temperature, and it'll raise the thyroid function, and it'll set into motion a series of biological events that tries to get rid of the calories. But as it's trying to get rid of the excess calories, it's also weakening immunity. It's aging your stem cells. It's shortening your telomeres. You're paying a price with the devil, because by raising your metabolism now through excess calories, your body's going to lose some of the stabilization of your cells that you need to live a long life. So you no longer can be you can't live to be 100 years old anymore, because those extra calories are being burnt away from that end. You're using them right now to speed up your metabolism. Now, you can't, the idea that you're going to try to raise your metabolism, help you lose weight, can never happen. Metabolism is only sped up when you're gaining weight. If you're eating less calories, your body is trying to slow down the metabolic rate, so make you lose less. And in that, so if my basal metabolic needs are 1,500 calories a day, and I consume 1,400 calories a day, 100 calories less, I won't lose 10 pounds after the end of the year. I'll only lose 2 or 3 pounds or 4 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So my body will lower the body temperature. It'll lower my respiratory quotient, and it'll lower my thyroid function to try to accommodate, to try to slow my metabolism as long as it can, so I don't start to become too thin. You can be anorexic and consume less calories and still lose weight to a danger point. But in that moderate reduction of calories, like 100 a day, you're still going to be in a relatively favorable weight, maybe drop a few pounds, but the body's going to try to slow its metabolic rate to stop the loss of calories past your ideal body weight set point. So your body has an ideal body weight set point. And let's say for you, it may be 115 pounds. For me, it might be 145 pounds, whatever that ideal set point is. It'll be difficult getting thinner than that, because as you reduce calories, your body will start to slow itself down metabolically. And in that case, you're slowing the aging process down. You're really slowing the aging process. So you're stabilizing stem cells, and you're stabilizing your telomeres. And I'm actually saying that we've watched people age backwards. As ridiculous as that sounds, we do these tests of chronological age versus biological age. And let's say the chronological age based on their birthday, they're 50 years old, but you do a test of their telomere length or their epigenetic markers, and it shows that they have the equivalent biological age of a 60-year-old, even though they're 50. Mm-hmm. And now, after months of eating right, moderate caloric restriction, eating a lot of salads and not overeating and not putting oil in their foods, now all of a sudden we repeat those tests, and it shows they have the biological age of a 40-year-old. They've actually aged backwards. So we can measure that. And we also know that in the normal range of thyroid function, people in the higher side of normal have shorter lifespans, more heart attacks, and more cardiac arrhythmias. It's better to be in the bottom half of normal. That means that in the free T4, I'm saying it's better to have a somewhat lower free T4 than a higher free T4. People out there in the real world that, we're talking about, they have like a false view of health and science, and they're marketed to tell with gimmicks to try to speed up the metabolic rate so they can eat more food and not get fat. And I'm making this point because That's the opposite of what a person should be doing to slow the aging process. We're not looking to speed up a metabolic rate so we can eat more food and not get fat. We're looking to slow down a metabolic rate so we can eat less food and not get too thin. And that's the secret to, and so that those 5 words, I mean, are the secret to living to be 100 years old, is trying to slow down your metabolic rate so you can eat less food and not get too thin. Because we want to have good muscle and bone structure to live to be 100 years old. We want to maintain muscle structure and bone structure and strength without putting fat on your body, which takes some intelligence and skill to moderate your calories, the type of calories, your exercise, so you can keep your body fat low, keep your strength up really strong, but be as light as you possibly can. You know, but be thin, but not put on weight that you don't need.
Correct,
You know,
correct. So you said that there are 4 or 5. So slow down metabolic rate. What else? I thought you had said that there were.
4, if we're talking about aging, I mean, what causes?
Yes, you had
So
said
there are
that
other things besides metabolic rate.
Okay.
I'm just talking about that first because it's such a confusing issue for people.
Got it.
You know,
Okay.
but there's, you know, if we're talking here about, there's no healthy way to speed up your metabolic rate
Correct.
except for exercise, because exercise is not really speeding up your metabolic rate. It's just allowing your musculoskeletal tissues to utilize more energy, or utilize more calories. It's different from your underlying core temperature and your underlying thyroid function. You're not changing that basal metabolism. You're just burning more calories. And when I exercise and I, let's say, burn out my legs on a leg press machine, those muscles are going to stay activated for 7 to 10 days, and they'll utilize more calories to all the exercise I did on my legs. But it's not really changing so it's not really raising your metabolism. It's just burning off calories, so there aren't extra calories floating around to raise your metabolism.
Yeah.
So exercise actually prevents you from raising your metabolism by burning off the extra calories, so you don't have to turn it into fat. So because the extra calories you're not exercising with are going to actually raise your basal metabolic rate, the aging process. So when you exercise, it burns off calories so that it doesn't have to be used to age you faster and increase your metabolism. It's a confusing issue, but so we want people to exercise regularly. We want them to exercise their whole body, not just walk or run, not just go to the gym and lift your shoulder for your shoulder. We want them to exercise with different types of exercise to promote longevity, including agility and fitness exercises like calisthenics, which might be skipping to one side, bending over, picking something off the ground, standing up straight, skipping to the other side, shuffling, bending down, doing a squat thrust, jumping up and down off a box or a few stairs. We're talking about interval training where you're raising the heart rate for a minute or two and then coming back to normal. We're talking about different types of exercise, including keeping your core strong, meaning your back, your abdominal, the muscles on the, your turning and twisting muscles, your bending and standing up muscles, and your abdominal and your back muscles are most important to keep your core strong, because your core muscles also affect digestion. If you have weak core muscles, you can't digest as well. You can have a colon is not going to be held in position properly. Bowel movements aren't going to be properly because your core muscles are weak. So we're talking about, so there's a lot of factors we haven't talked about: sleep, rest, stress, anxiety. How people put themselves under a tremendous amount of stress. And I'm saying, sure, there's some reason for stresses, of course. People are in poverty. They can't find, they have starvation and crime and danger, and they're in real stress. But most people are not stressed because of those external forces. Most people who are under stress are putting stress on themselves for the way they see the world. And you don't need so in other words, you could work within your framework. You can live in a relatively economically deprived situation, and as long as you have enough food to eat, you have a place to sleep that's clean, a person could be happy and keep themselves under stress and positive about life. So most people are putting the stress on themselves. Yes. By the way, and our social structure and the social norms of the modern world doesn't only put stress on us, it makes us comply with norms that we put stress on ourselves. The social norms of, you could say, America, with the competitive nature, trying to competitiveness, and the feeling of like being better than other people and comparing yourself to other people and having to look better and have more money and have a nicer house or whatever the reasons are, people put a lot of stress on themselves where their primary purpose of living is not just to be happy. It's not just to enjoy the outside world. It's not just to appreciate the world around them, people, nature, art, and the beauty of the universe. They're really there for other motives to increase their own self-worth in the eyes of others.
Correct.
And that puts them under tremendous stress because they're always trying to please somebody, convince somebody, make themselves look better in somebody else's eyes. They're letting society push, and it's almost since birth, we're trying to like get on a sports team and your parents are trying to push you to be the, so your cheerleading, thing is like the best, people make mistakes, so they're being felt they have to like perform at a high level, and then they gotta, and it's all constant. It's taking exams in school, and you have to get to a better college, and we're just under stress our whole life. Get a better job now, and it's all under stress their whole life. And not that you shouldn't have tried to keep it, educate sports and do all these things. It's just the degree of stress that's placed on people. We're not doing sports for enjoyment and exercise. We're not learning and doing well in school for the value of education and the beauty of learning about the world and trying to achieve things and have a career that we can be useful to the humanity and other people. And it's just the motivation behind it becomes becomes narrowly focused, and people get narrowly focused and put tremendous stress on themselves.
And Dr. Fuhrman, as you know, we were part of our first workshop. Those are the things we talk about in the Nutri series, I Am the Solution workshop. We talk about spirit, mind, and body, but stress and the way we perceive the world, we rewrite the program during that weekend so that we can start seeing through a different set of eyes. Now, Dr. Fuhrman, I want to, by the way, it's September 17th, 18th, and 19th. So go to whenyouneedafriend.com to learn more about that. Now, I want to go back because you've mentioned basal metabolic rate several times. And how do I know what is optimal for me for how much I can consume as far as calories? Because I really never think of calories because I eat a certain way. I never really think of calories, but I will say this, that sometimes if I restrict myself from calories, I feel hungry, like I'll be hungry. And so how do I know what my calorie intake is, my optimal calorie intake?
Super hungry and starving ourselves. So that this is the art of living a long time. It's not an easy thing to do. It's always trying to think about what you're eating and how much you're eating, and not overeating, not eating till you're full, stopping eating before you got full. And then if you're not hungry for dinner, you probably overate at lunch. They say hunger is the best sauce, and the symptoms of hunger are like a feeling right here in the upper part of your neck, the upper part of your chest, lower part of your neck. But it's sometimes associated with salivation, and it increases taste sensation. It makes food taste good. You people know with a young child, like a baby or a toddler, they start spitting out food. If you're feeding the baby with the food, they're eating when they're hungry, and then they start spitting it out, and the parents try to force them to eat more food. But the child only wants to eat more hungry. Ideally, we should be eating while food is tasting good and feeling good to eat it. And it's okay, food's available again a few hours later. We don't have to eat till we're stuffed. But parents then are teaching their children to eat till they're stuffed. We're trying to get people to clean their plates, eat more, get bigger, get larger, eat till we're stuffed. And a lot of adults, even I see so many people who come to the retreat here who are learning to eat healthfully, but they want to eat till they're stuffed. They're trying to, they go to a buffet and they're piling it on, and you go, you can get up from the table and feel your stomach. Don't you feel like you overate? And then they don't chew well enough. Because if you chewed well, your appetite is also controlled by how much you chew and the fiber you consume. So what I'm saying is we should be comfortable with less calories, and we should be not excessively hungry, but hungry often enough so we can recognize we're not chronically overeating. Mm-hmm. If you never get hungry, you probably could do well with less calories and try to see if you get hungry, what it takes for you to get hungry. And sometimes I eat an earlier dinner, and I'm hungry at bedtime, but that's okay. I figure it's good for me to be hungry at bedtime once in a while. I'll just go to sleep and I won't eat anything.
Well, I've done some fasts myself where I drink water or I'm having broth or juices or anything like that. And I'm telling you, when I've done a water fast, I've never been hungry. It's when I eat food that I get hungry. And I haven't quite understand this relationship I have with food where I can do a water fast and I'm just like perfect. I know I'm not.
Everybody goes in, women go into ketosis quicker than men do when they fast. Some men can take 36 to 48 hours, and some women can take 24 to 36 hours. They're already starting to produce ketones in the end of the first day, but firstly by day 2, they have enough ketone production, especially in women, that it takes away their hunger. The reason why you have hunger is because you haven't not eaten sufficiently, caloric restriction sufficiently for the body to start making ketones, which then has hunger suppression effects.
Yeah, but so there is such a thing, and I've learned this from you, of toxic hunger, because I can hear many people right now exclaiming, well, I'm hungry all the time. And there's emotional eating, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow.
I was just assuming people, I know they don't know, but assuming that it's not real hunger. Most people, we could say 95% of people across the country have never experienced hunger in their adult life.
Exactly. I had not experienced it. When you said that, I thought, am I really hungry? Or or is it habit or bored? Or am I trying to be social? We have all this stuff with food that's not healthy.
Yeah, well, that's one of the foundational things I teach people is that if you don't eat healthy enough, then when you're not digesting food, you're going to be in a detox mode that's going to cause fatigue and shakiness and headache and stomach cramping. Mm-hmm. And you're going to think that's hunger. And you're going to force to overeat calories to take away those uncomfortable sensations. But we know those uncomfortable sensations are not hunger. And I'm saying they're from eating a bad diet from unhealthy people, and all people are unhealthy. I'm saying right now that the medical textbooks don't describe hunger appropriately. They're describing detox from people and what happens to people when they stop eating food. It's not hunger, because all healthy people, not all, but most 95% of healthy people don't feel those symptoms. They start to feel hunger as a mouth and throat sensation. So assuming that people are healthy enough, and that's why, from the time I've been advocating this concept of why people can't lose weight, it's always been they have to understand the biological nature, the symptoms of hunger, and how to control their hunger first. If they can't do that, they're never going to succeed. And that's why people can't lose weight on diets, because they're not focused on the quality of what they eat. They're focused on the quantity. First, you have to focus on the quality of what you eat, so you can get yourself, your body can be perfused with nutrients and phytochemicals and antioxidants. You can remove the toxic load in your body. And once the toxic load is low enough, then you can be more in tune with real hunger and get rid of the calorie consuming monster, the forces that make you overeat calories just to feel okay. Most people think they're eating food to prevent fatigue. They eat food before they go to the gym. They eat food before they go here. They eat food. They're thinking they get their energy from the food they eat, which is, they think they're going to feel too tired if they're not having food in their stomach, which is why they're overweight.
Yes.
It shouldn't be. Why would a person have to be overweight to keep their energy up? So the whole thing, so for people are very confused about this, and they're confused about so many things, and they have so many false beliefs, because obviously the socialization process in this country is to be indoctrinated into false beliefs and maintain those as truth, even though they're fantasy thinking with no evidence to support them.
Yes. And that is the awareness that I have received through my lifetime. Well, actually, since I've met you, the awareness, am I really hungry? And we addressed this during the workshop, the I Am the Solution workshop. What is real hunger, and what am I really missing in my life? It may not be the food, it may be something else that we need to discover. And I loved your explanation about the importance of understanding that what we call hunger could be toxicity that's trying to escape from our body, and we're not allowing it to do it. And so with that in mind, because there are some new people that they have not heard from you before, maybe asking questions about, what can I eat? What can I eat? Let's go over the G bombs. I know this is really basic, and we've been talking about G bombs for a long time, but for someone who's new, they may not understand the process of being a nutritarian. So could you share a little bit about the micronutrients and phytonutrients, micro and macronutrients that you discussed?
Sure. Well, we are primates, and we're biologically very close in our genetic code to the gorillas and chimpanzees, but we have a digestive structure of a primate, and we have essentially the nutritional needs similar to other primates. And we're a body that needs a lot, that doesn't generate its own vitamin C. We need a lot of phytochemicals and antioxidants. And even when we're sleeping at night, the brain is getting rid of its reactive oxygen species. And slowing the aging process means keeping the level of toxins generated, predominantly advanced glycation end products that age us, and reactive oxygen species that age us. So we're a type of animal that requires a large exposure to phytochemicals found in plant foods. We can't get by with, like a carnivore animal, like a cat. There are omnivores like bears and dogs that can, coyotes eat a lot of fruit, and they also kill rabbits and things, but they don't have long lifespans. Their lifespans, 10 to 20 years. All the carnivore animals live a short lifespan. All the longest lifespan animals have to be exposed to antioxidants. So the brain, because the body oxidizes as it ages. It ages the body. Oxidation is a form of aging. And we know that the nutritarian diet is an ideal gold standard of excellence to supply all the nutrients, micronutrients that we need, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants that don't contain calories, without over-consuming macronutrients, which then accelerate aging, fat, carbohydrate, and protein. So the more calories you consume in life, the more you've aged yourself. But the American diet gives them excess calories, but people are ubiquitously deficient in the micronutrients, the plant-derived micronutrients. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean vegans aren't deficient in some important nutrients too. They're usually too low in zinc and DHA and B12 and K2, but that are not good for anti-aging, but that could be easily remedied. But in any case, I'm saying right now is that raw vegetables have the most consistent and powerful association with reductions of cancers of all types, including enhancing human lifespan. And green vegetables in particular have the most documented scientific evidence to be associated with longevity and slowing aging. So one of the my mantras of nutritarian living is the salad is the main dish. Mm-hmm. And so when people say, where do I start? They always start with having one meal be centered around a salad of raw vegetables. And like for the lunch, for example, we serve here at the retreat where people come to get well, the lunch is a salad bar where they put on the salad lettuce, but lettuce is very important food. People don't, just a simple food like dark lettuces have a tremendous ability to heal the digestive tract and supply nutrients for the brain and the body and slow aging. So actually eating a lot of lettuce is really important. And then they use cruciferous greens on top with that mixed in, such as arugula, broccoli, sprouts, bok choy, watercress, shredded baby kale, some cabbage. And then they have some of the onion family, which have tremendous anti-aging effects, usually red onion and scallion or green onion chopped up on the salad. And then they might have other things in the salad, beets, carrots, whatever, but then maybe some beans or sprinkle some lightly toasted pumpkin seeds on top, whatever they're putting on the salad. But then they have a dressing, and the dressing is not salt and oil. It's usually made from nuts and seeds as the fat source, mixed with something like tomato sauce or a piece of mango so it's a very healthy dressing, because with a little fat present at that meal, there's particularly talking about the fat from about a half an ounce of nuts and seeds. You want to get about a half an ounce to an ounce of nuts and seeds with that salad meal to facilitate the absorption of the anti-cancer compounds and the compounds that slow the aging process and stabilize your stem cells and your telomeres. Mm-hmm. So you absorb 20 to 50 times as much of the beneficial nutrients when you add some nuts and seeds to that meal compared to having, let's say, a low-fat salad. And then people usually have a bowl of vegetable bean soup with that and a piece of fruit for dessert, but that's their main meal of the day. So if they have beans in the soup, they don't have much beans on the salad. If there's beans in the salad, there's not beans in the soup. And the next thing is, how well do they chew that salad that they just ate? Are they chewing each mouthful 30 times? Are they liquefying it in their mouth? Or are they swallowing the pieces whole? Because if swallowing the pieces, most people are not chewing well enough, and they're losing 90% of the potential nutrient value of the salad. because you can enhance the nutrient absorption just by liquefying the food better in your mouth. And so people say to me, they'll post on my website, or they ask the Dr. Forum, on the member center at drfuhrman.com, they'll say, I'm seeing pieces of food in my stool. What's wrong with my digestion? And I'll say, it's not your digestion, it's your teeth, because you should be chewing well enough so there's no pieces of stool in your stool. You're right, you shouldn't see food in your stool. It should be even and smooth, but that's because of how well you're chewing. You can't, once it passes down, once you swallow it down your throat, that's the end. There's no, doesn't break it down anymore. As far as you only got one chance when it's in your mouth to chew it down into a liquefied form. And that's going to enhance the digestive tract's ability to absorb it. And also the feedback to the brain. I got a fly in my head.
Did you get it?
Punching myself in the face. No, it was a joke. I know I wasn't going to get the fly.
There's always a highlight whenever you come in the classroom, so
I know you can never get a fly in your own body. It's so hard to kill a fly in your own body. You can get a fly splatter or something.
It's right around you. Yeah, it looks like you just worked out too. So it's probably
I just came back from, I'm all sweaty. There
you go. It's right there. There you go.
I just came back from playing tennis. And then there's a fly attractor right there. When they bring something, so the flies don't go in the house. I'm sitting outdoors, but it pulls a lot of flies to go into that fly trap. They don't go in the house. There's a lot of flies around here.
But you really went for that fly. Okay, so when we were talking about G-bombs, greens, beans, mushrooms, onions, berries, and seeds. And the mushrooms, you talk about mushrooms. A lot of people they think that eating mushrooms raw is good. Can you share the warning about eating mushrooms?
Yeah, we want people to cook their beans really well and cook their mushrooms. So we want them to eat most of their raw cruciferous greens. We want them to get some raw bok choy, raw broccoli, raw kale, raw cabbage, eat some of that raw, but the beans should be really well cooked. Even soaked overnight and really well cooked. And the mushrooms should be cooked, because when you blow off the gas from the mushrooms, the agarotine leaves. The agarotine isn't that healthy a substance in mushrooms. It blows. It's in those less expensive mushrooms, the family of mushrooms that has the portobello, the white button, the cremini, and the brown mushrooms. It's all the same family, agarotine containing mushrooms, which are better off cooked. And when you cook the mushrooms, you lose some of the possible bacteria, other things in there that are not that favorable. So it really is a benefit to cook mushrooms. It's not going to kill you to eat some raw mushrooms, but you really want to, but since we're advocating people eat larger amounts and eat mushrooms regularly, then we should be advocating people cook most of them. If people have a little bit of mushroom here and there, they eat it raw. But since we're advocating people eat mushrooms all the time, every day, we want them to cook most of the mushrooms they're eating.
Yes. And one of the things that you said, and I want to hone in on it, is the largest meal of the day. Should that be our lunch or sometime in between our breakfast and dinner if we decide to have dinner? Would that be the middle part of the day?
Yes. It's probably better to eat a lighter dinner and a larger lunch. But the major thing isn't the size of the meal. The major importance is not to be sleeping with food digesting in your stomach at night, to make sure you eat early enough and light enough so you can digest the meal in time before you go to bed. If people ate a steak dinner, even if they eat at 6 o'clock, it's going to take like so many hours to digest that. They're going to be digesting food, refluxing around their stomach and their small intestines, all night long. When you eat a plant meal, vegetables and some fruit at night, and your dinner is light enough, you're not just having it leave the stomach, but most of the absorption of the small intestines has been completed and finished. So there's not much digestive activity, nutrients, calories, glucose coming through the walls of the small intestines either at night. So we really want to eat a light enough dinner and an early enough dinner so our sleep at night is really sleeping without. And you're outside of the digestive process. And I call that period of time outside the digestive process the catabolic phase of the digestive tract, of the digestive cycle. The catabolic phase means we're living off of nutrients that were stored on the body after we finished digesting. And that's when your body most effectively repairs, heals, and detoxifies.
And we must be sleeping, right? That happens when we're sleeping.
No, you can be in a catabolic phase after you've ate a light breakfast or you skip breakfast. You could be finished when you finish digesting the meal and there's no calories coming in. You're in the catabolic phase. But for longevity purposes, having a larger period of catabolism at night, so the sleep cycle is taking place during the catabolic phase,
Got it.
is one of the major factors that extends human lifespan. So
Got
if we're
it.
talking about how to extend human lifespan, we want to, as much as we possibly can, not be sleeping with food while we're digesting food. And I'm not perfect there. I mean, I don't always do that perfectly, because sometimes I'm out or I'm exercising a lot late and I come home just too hungry and I just eat late, but I'm still going to eat something light, like a piece of melon or something. I'm not going to have a heavy meal late at night. Like I'm not going to eat 8 o'clock at night. I'm not going to going to bed at 10. I'm not going to sit down there and have a bean burger and a bowl of minestrone soup. I'm just going to have like a piece of watermelon or a cucumber or something, eat something light, or not going to even have nuts before bedtime. It's too long to digest. If you're going to have to eat something light. We don't want to have you digesting food all night long. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm trying to at least be aware of not putting something heavy in my stomach before I go to bed. And if possible, finishing dinner early and not eating close to bedtime.
Correct. That was going to be my next question. An example of what light eating for dinner would be. And by the way, yesterday or the day before yesterday, I made the basil dressing. I love the basil. I love basil, first of all, and the dressing is just absolutely phenomenal. And so all our salads this week will have the basil dressing, something very simple that when we buy it at the store, it's going to have a bunch of junk in it. But when you make it, it tastes so much better. And Dr. Fuhrman, you have perfected these dressings. They're so good, especially in the T20 PDFs that you have. Those are my favorite. I just go through them and I got the recipe right there. So I love those. So you've given an example of if you're hungry at night, have some light fruit, something light so that you're not digesting the entire night. But what would be a good example of a meal for dinner? You talked about the lunch, which is a salad and maybe some vegetable bean soup, but what would be something that people can start thinking about planning? Because our biggest meal, mostly we've been indoctrinated to make dinner our biggest meal. But
Right.
That's not necessarily something that we should sustain.
No, for lunch, we started out with a big salad, and I served the soup in the bowl when I got the salad. So the time I'm eating the salad, the soup can cool down. So I'm eating a soup that's warm, but not too hot. I don't want to take it right out of the hot pot, because the hot substances that can be steaming might cause micro injury to the epithelial cells in your mouth and your tongue and your throat. So drinking steaming hot tea increases risk of throat and tongue cancer, for example. Or having excessively hot soup is not good for so we're letting that cool down. That's your lunch. And dinner, you really can't eat that much at one time. Your stomach only holds a liter of food. So you're really not able to eat enough. Like we got the salad in and those other vegetables in during lunch as much as we could, not to be full and chewing them really well. But maybe I didn't have raw pepper. I didn't have raw bok choy. I didn't have carrot sticks. I didn't have raw beets. I didn't have raw jicama. I didn't have raw snow pea pods. I didn't have raw cucumbers. I didn't have enough raw vegetables at lunch because you only can eat so much food. So what vegetables can I eat raw at dinner time that I didn't have at lunch? So I usually call that a crudité, or something. We serve a plate of raw vegetables, snow pea pods, jicama, raw beets, or sometimes even like partially cooked food, so it's like half raw, just lightly blanched to give it a little bit of the softness, but snow pea pods or raw broccoli or raw celery or raw cucumbers. And a lot of the stuff we go out to the garden and, pick stuff fresh in the garden raw. There's not a salad. We're just picking up each thing. And we're usually using a dip, a salsa dip, a hummus dip, an avocado dip. Last night, they made a dip out of cauliflower, carrots, and cashews and hemp seeds with some herbs and spices. And it was creamy. It was really good taste. I remember there was my nephew's baby was there, and the baby was just an 8-month-old, was just eating the dip, was just like most of the meal. But the dip was just made out of cauliflower and carrots and nuts. It was fine from the dip, But anyway, so we make a healthy dip. And a lot of times we make like an eggplant tahini dip, where you have like eggplant, where you mix like eggplant hummus, you know what I mean? Like eggplant, they so use like
baba ganoush. I've made your baba ganoush before. It's really good.
Right, like use sesame seeds and chickpeas and eggplant and a little bit of maybe shredded horseradish, maybe a little bit of roasted garlic in there. And then, so we have some dip. And then we have usually a cooked vegetable dish. Last night we had some bean pasta with a mushroom stroganoff type mushroom chopped vegetables on top. But usually we're making a wok, and we're throwing into the wok Savoy or Chinese cabbage or bok choy, different mushrooms, onions or leeks or snow pea pods or water chestnuts, bamboo shoots, some kind of vegetables. And then we're going to maybe make a sauce for that, a light sauce. It might be one of my favorite sauces to make a light Thai curry sauce with a little bit of coconut flakes and lemongrass and curry and a date and or a little bit of turmeric, and make a little bit of a sauce made.
Sounds good.
A light sauce after it's cooked. We're just walking it in water, but we're not frying it in oil. We're just walking it in the juices. The other day I just took zucchini, and I just either steamed or boiled zucchini with the skin on, because you don't want to cut the skin off because the juices and nutrients fall out into the water. But you just boil the zucchini for like 3 or 4 minutes. You pull it out. Now you can cut it on the plate and just slice it. And then I sprinkled a dukkha dusting on top with lightly toasted hazelnuts and almonds mixed in with tarragon and caraway seeds and a little bit of a mixture of herbs and herbs, not spices, but just herbs and, oregano and dill and things like that sprinkled on top of it. And I put some fried onion on top of that. The fried onion, of course, I made in a pan, just a hot pan with just very diced onion, sizzled in the pan so it's glistening, and then put some of that diced onion on top. So usually we're having some mixed vegetable dish with a small amount of starch, winter squash or quinoa, or on the base of that. So we're usually not using a huge amount of starch because we want to have room for the raw vegetables and room in your body to have these mixed vegetables and these cooked vegetables, mostly green. So we're having a large serving of greens, may it be asparagus or artichokes or zucchini or string beans or broccoli or broccoli rabe or broccolini or something. So we're having a lot of cooked greens with the other non-starchy vegetables like peppers and onions and mushrooms and tomatoes and snow pea pods and
You're making my mouth water. I must be hungry.
So we make like a nice cooked vegetable dish that's enticing, and then a dessert, which is usually frozen fruit. And I take the fruit out of the freezer, like frozen cherries or frozen jackfruit or frozen berries, at the beginning of the meal. So the time you took the 20 minutes to 25 minutes to eat the meal, it's just defrosted enough. So it still tastes a little bit ice cream, but it's not hard as a rock. It's softened a little bit now. So it's like having an ice cream just out of the freezer with no work. But at the retreat, it's different because I have chefs making fancy desserts all the time, fancy, healthy desserts. But in the real world, we might make a fancy dessert like a banana ice cream or banana ice cream on some stewed apple or something like that, or black bean brownie with some, that might happen with an avocado ice. So that might happen once a week. But most other days, the fruit was just a good piece of fruit, a fresh fig, a fresh mango, a fresh, cherimoya, some kind of a peach, a nectarine, some apricot, some cherries, some frozen fruit. It's usually just fruit or frozen fruit for dessert after the vegetable main dish, and the crudité, raw vegetables with a dip. That's basically the dip.
Oh, it sounds delicious. Sounds delicious. I've eaten there. Well, actually, I have not eaten there other than pick the fruit from the vegetables from the garden. That's what I've eaten, and have had some of your mocktails that you serve. So before I take your questions here and ask Dr. Fuhrman, I want to remind you all that where how to get a hold of the people that are in the classroom, and you can just get their link from the blog. You can sign up. Please go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please subscribe there and like and follow me on all my social media, including BitChute and Odyssey, which we're trying to grow at this point. And so while you're there, please check out my sponsor and my affiliate sponsors, which is a way that you can help out the classroom. But finally, you can help by becoming an enrolled student, which is donating $1 because we are pretty much enrolled students supported. So I want to encourage you to give your time, your talent, your treasure, whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month, to help us grow and continue growing the classroom. Also, I want to remind you, you can go to drfuhrman.com to learn more of what Dr. Fuhrman is talking about today. And we have a playlist on YouTube, and you can watch all the other classes that Dr. Fuhrman has been on. So we have some questions, Dr. Fuhrman. So the question I'm looking here is from Lillian. It says, I'm obese and have pain in knees, legs, and feet because of the excess weight. Following the Nutritarian lifestyle when I can. Someone expects to. When can someone expect to have relief from pain? She says
Well,
they're following the Nutritarian lifestyle.
you know, as you know, I encourage people who come to stay at my retreat to stay 3 months because we really want to see the transformation. I have a person who's leaving today who's been here 3 months who lost 100 pounds in the last 3
Wow.
months, 100 pounds. But when he came in, he could hardly walk. But he walks, you know, and his neck and his everything hurt him, you know. But so we do see people's pain go away, you know, usually very frequently within the first, 4 to 6 weeks. But sometimes it takes, the full. So what I'm saying is he's still not at his ideal weight, but he can walk, he can play, he can do things, he's out of pain. So usually it takes 3 months of really strict adherence to really see a remarkable turnaround after living unhealthily for years. So this person is obese. She may be 80 to 150 pounds overweight. So she may need to get, 50 to 60, 70 pounds off, and we see people lose, typically 20 pounds the first month, 15 pounds the second month, 10 pounds the third month. That's 45 pounds in 3 months, even though he lost 100 pounds in 3 months.
Yeah.
Or more typical would be 40 to 50 pounds in 3 months. I had another girl here who was here 3.5 weeks and she lost 80 pounds. She lost 80 pounds in 3.5 months. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say that's a lot, even for
No, 3.5 months, 80.
Yeah.
She came in at 380 and she left here under 300 pounds. She lost, and
Wow.
she went home, she lost another 70 pounds. But
That's
so she's,
awesome.
we want to instill in them, but so this person, she shouldn't use that term eating nutritarian when she can. I mean, that's horribly.
Maybe I read that incorrectly.
You should be eating every bite, every minute, every meal, every day count to save her life at this point.
I think that there was a comma missing. So following the Nutritarian lifestyle, and then there should have been if it says when can someone expect to have pain from? So
not
I
when
read it incorrectly. Yeah,
Oh,
there's
I
no
see.
comma there.
When
Yeah,
can
yeah.
she
I think.
expect? Yeah, I
Yes.
can't. It's too vague. We don't know how long it will
But
take.
this is a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle change. This is not a diet. This is
However
not
long as it
something-
takes us, how long as it takes.
Correct.
You know?
Exactly. Just keep going, Lillian. Just keep going. Okay, we have a question from Dot. Will it be okay to do one meal a day? I am not hungry in the morning. I eat a big meal, a big lunch, and not hungry in the evenings. Is that okay?
It's usually not okay because they're eating past the point of the stretch receptor. They're eating till they're too full to get all the calories in at one meal, and they're not going to digest as well because they overate. They put too much food in the stomach at one time.
Okay.
It may occasionally be okay for people with slow metabolisms, but I feel it's better that people eat 2 meals a day or 3 meals a day. A person like that could do it on 2 meals a day, maybe 10 and 4 or something, because I'm afraid they're just going to eat too big of a meal at the one meal, too much food at one meal. You're not going to digest it as well.
Yeah. And so along with that question comes, how do you feel about intermittent fasting? But you're kind of implying that is not eating 1 meal a day is not intermittent fasting. It's too much food at one time.
Well, it may be called intermittent fasting, but so is 2 meals a day.
Correct.
As long as so is eating an early dinner and going to bed on an empty stomach, it can be considered intermittent fasting. It's all degree of how much you're going to calorically restrict. I think doing that type of intermittent fasting, I'd rather see them eat at 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock if they want to do it that way. And they'd still be fasting from 3:30 until 9 o'clock the next morning. That's a tremendous amount of fasting. That's great. But they did it with 2 meals because they didn't have to shovel all that food in at one time. They're getting the salad, the raw vegetables, the beans, the nuts, the peppers, the tomatoes, the onions, the raw carrots, all these foods and all at one time. That it's just too much food and it's too much stretching out the stomach.
Yes.
I'm concerned they're going to overeat.
Yes. And for those of you who are asking questions, please type in a Q and ask your question. That way I know to not just glance by your question. Okay, Dr. Fuhrman. There's a question from a young man. He wants to know how to heal your vagus nerve. Is that something you can address in less than 3 minutes?
Yeah, I can address in a couple minutes.
Okay.
It's never the case that there's something that has to heal is one part of the body. The body ages and gets hurt with multiple things are getting hurt simultaneously. Inflammation, why the nerve got hurt, nutritional issues, toxicity, pressure from muscle spasm on nerves. Body is always very complicated. Nerves do heal slower than other parts of the body does. Neurologic tissue takes a long time to heal. So what I'm saying is we want to establish an optimal environment for healing, but that environment for healing encompasses the whole body. It's how do we optimize healing in general to prevent our joints from aging, to prevent our brain from aging, prevent our heart from aging. And the same thing is how we heal the vagus nerve or heal the esophagus or heal your digestive tract. It's we establish people to be in excellent and perfect health. And you can't be in perfect health unless you're eating a perfect diet. And people like to think that a diet that's not as healthy is just as good as a diet that's healthier. And that's just a wishful thinking, and it's just not true. As stupid as this sounds, a healthier diet is healthier.
Yeah.
And they have to go all the way to the Nutritarian diet and not stop halfway there if they want to heal. Because even doing it 90 or 95% can some kind of impede healing of things that are difficult to heal. So giving them maximum chances to get well and not overeat, because the vagus nerve is intimately involved with the digestive tract, and they shouldn't be overeating food and giving themselves too much excess digestive work to do. But you don't heal anything in the body unless you're healing the gut and healing the brain and healing everything else simultaneously. You get in the best health of your life, and everything heals together.
Yes, yes. So the question here is, what does Dr. Fuhrman recommend as proper ratio of oats to fruit for breakfast? And then there's a follow-up. Then it says, my husband is adding 1 cup of oats to 1 peach, 1 apple, and 1 banana, plus almond milk. Is that the proper ratio?
No, it's wrong. He should be having 1 cup of more higher nutrient food like berries or pomegranate or cherries. He should be, frozen berries or something. So he can have another piece of fruit like a mango, a banana, an apple, or a pear, whatever he's eating, and could be the second piece of fruit he eats after the first cup of berries. Follow me? So he's not consuming the berry at breakfast. And then he's supposed to be having at least 1 tablespoon of ground seeds with breakfast. I prefer to have 2 tablespoons, and that's hemp seeds, chia seeds, and flax seeds mixed together. I would have 2 tablespoons, but 1 to 2 tablespoons would be appropriate. And then if you're having plant milk with that, with the 2 cups of fruit and the 2 tablespoons of seeds, you don't need a full cup of oatmeal unless you're exercising a lot, but you can go with half a cup or a third of a cup of oatmeal. But certainly it's not bad if he's not overweight. He could eat the whole cup if he's not overweight, but he should cut back so he's not having 3 non-berry fruits. He should have 1, maximum 2 non-berry fruits, so he has room to have the 1 serving of a higher nutrient fruit like berries, cherries, pomegranates, guava, kumquats, something like that.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so I have a question here on YouTube. I was able to read it, so I think it's a question because I saw a question mark. What about hyperthyroidism? How can we avoid losing more weight for females? So it says hyperthyroidism. How can we avoid losing more weight for females that are already and have been extremely underweight?
Hyperthyroidism is traditionally called Graves' disease. It's an autoimmune disease, and it's a rare disease. It's not that common. So it's not a really question for the general public. This is a more individual question. She could come to drfuhrman.com and ask me, and they ask the doctor for him how to handle her hyperthyroidism and monitor her. She doesn't get too thin because it could be accelerating her weight loss, but there's other symptoms, accelerating her heartbeat, increasing risk of arrhythmia. But usually we give them more nuts and seeds in their diet and give more calorie-dense foods. But the point is to treat her hyperthyroidism, and treat it means through dietary manipulation, we can very much have a positive effect on autoimmune disease. And she's often at a program with juices, so I have a more complicated answer for her, which she should come to become part of the membership forums where they can ask me questions on the internet and get more information. Oh, I can't hear you now.
Sorry, I was about to sneeze, and I wanted to keep you from hearing me sneeze, but it went away. It just went away, just like that fly just went away. Anyway, okay, so we have a question from Carol. I have pernicious anemia. Is that something that can be healed, or is it a lifelong B12 injections?
No, it's not going to be healed. It's not likely going to be healed, but it doesn't require injections. She can just take a high enough B12 that can, through diffusion, and injections, you're putting certain chemicals in the body that you don't have to do. In other words, she could take a 1,000 microgram B12 or even a 5,000 sublingual B12 that can be absorbed sufficiently, and her amount of B12 and her homocysteine or MMA can be monitored to make sure she's getting enough. So she shouldn't be on injections. It puts her body on more stress than using oral B12. There's almost no person that would need to inject themselves with B12, even those with pernicious anemia don't need to inject themselves.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Great question. Okay, so Dwayne wants to know enlarged prostate advice. Said thank you, Dwayne, age 65, for enlarged prostate advice.
You know, we can prevent the prostate from enlarging, and the major factor that causes the prostate enlargement is eating animal protein all through life. You know, it just promotes excessive growth of tissues and excessive growth of the prostate of male. You know that, but in any case, at this point, once it's enlarged, you should be eating as best as you can not to make it get worse. But I don't usually see that it reverses itself totally once it got to that point, where he's 60 years old, 65 years old, or 66, and it got a prostate enlargement. He's going to have to live with those symptoms, and he can use something to minimize the symptoms so it doesn't get worse, and just hopefully it won't get worse, and he won't need a procedure, won't need a stent placed in there, or won't need some kind of therapy to allow him to urinate. As long as he can urinate adequately, it's just benign prostate enlargement. He probably can learn to live with it.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Fuhrman, when it comes to, you've mentioned several times, and I think I want to highlight this now. You have a forum that people can go to. Would you like to share a little bit more about that on drfuhrman.com?
Yeah, one of the things I do is answer people's health and nutrition questions to their particular needs. Like if they have a certain need, like maybe they have an autoimmune condition, or they have whatever it is, or just motivational. We give people a community where they associate at drfuhrman.com. They join the member center, and they can communicate with each other in forums, and they can communicate with me and ask, and I communicate with them in a forum and answer their questions. It's not like a medical consultation. They sign a waiver that it's not a medical consultation. It's just educational information for everybody to benefit from, but I'm able to answer their direct questions about health and nutrition. And not prescribing medication, but I can give them some information they can take to their home doctor to talk to their doctor about, and maybe make some suggestions there that they can talk to their doctor about. So I can aid people through the Ask the Doctor forum as a membership benefit at drfuhrman.com. And there's a membership where they have to pay more to have that feature, where there's a less expensive membership to get the discounts and to have all the other forums and reading everything I say, but not answer questions directly from me. So I can't answer everybody's question, but the ones that are at that level of membership, I'm usually answering most of the questions, the vast majority of questions that are posted there.
Yes. Okay, so we have another question from Dot. She says, can I cook mushrooms and onions on an air fryer?
No. Well, you could do it.
Yeah, they're good.
Could do it, but usually an air fryer is raising temperatures past what a dehydrator does. And because it's dry-based cooking, at that temperature that's dry, you're forming more acrylamides and causing more nutrient damage than you would have if you had cooked in a water-based method like wok or steaming or making it a stew or putting it in a soup. So I'm usually not an advocate of an air fryer. I'd rather you buy a dehydrator and make dehydrated onions and dehydrated, kale chips and dehydrated tofu. And I'd rather you do that because you maintain more to have that crispiness without forming dangerous compounds, because it's high heat combined with dryness that causes these acrylamides and causes food damage. So we're doing more moisture-based cooking, soups and stews and chilies. And then if we want to do dry-based, getting something crispy, when we're trying to bring it to a low temperature below an air fryer, that usually a dehydrator can get the right temperature.
Interesting, because my air fryer is a dehydrator. It's a 7-thing-in-1.
Oh, that's good. Then you're just running it at lower temperatures.
Yeah, yes.
A dehydrator and an air fryer are the same thing, except the dehydrator is lower temperature and an air fryer is a higher
mine goes
temperature.
from 90 degrees all the way to 450 degrees. So I can.
Right, so just keep it below 130, 140, and just you're cooking it at lower temperatures than you can so-called air fry it, which is dehydrated.
Interesting. Well, that I'm glad. Thank you for asking that question, because I was not aware. I thought that if I, heat it up in my air fryer, that was good enough. But you're saying that there's some danger to that. We want to cook our vegetables, if we cook them in more of a moisture, whether it's a soup or a saute, a water saute, a steam,
Or stew or something. And then if
I make my fries. I make my fries in the air fryer.
If you want things to be crispy like an air fryer, not water-based, then cook with lower temperatures.
Yeah.
If you can, most of the time.
Yeah, very good. Okay, we've got 2 minutes left, Dr. Fuhrman, before the class is done. And that fly is really stealing. It used to be Petey, now it's the fly. 2 minutes.
Did you see my new dog? Did I show you my new dog?
No. Can you hold on. We've got before the podcast ends. Bring them after the podcast ends. Any last words of wisdom for someone who is really struggling with diet versus lifestyle? And then you can bring your new dog in the teacher's.
This is the most, obviously, this is the most fun way to eat and to live, because you feel good about yourself and you feel good at the same time. And I don't know the semantics of calling it a diet or lifestyle. I don't know, whatever. You call it whatever you want, just do it.
Yeah.
Let me get you, I'll show you my new dog.
Go get him. Okay.
I got a dog because Petey's a little dog, but I'm surrounded by an acreage of wild animals here. So I had to get a big dog so he's not going to be, so I have a dog who's going to be like a 90-pound dog, but I'll show you, he's still a baby right now.
Okay. So while you're doing that, why don't you, Robert, play the music out, and then when Dr. Fuhrman comes back, we'll be razzle-dazzled with the new puppy. So please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott, and Dr. Fuhrman's getting his dog, wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Robert, are you putting the music on? Because I can't hear anything. There we go. Okay, now we get the music. Okay, so, there he is. Aw, how cute. That's not a German Shepherd, is it?
It's a French Shepherd. It's called a Beauceron. It's like a French Shepherd, but I think they're very smart and very big dogs. And it's not a Doberman, but it looks a little like a Doberman.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so you guys make it the best day ever. We're going to watch the new puppy. What's his name?
Rain.
Rain?
Rain. Yeah.
Rain?
Rain, yeah.
Rain.
Summer rain.
Hold on.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Unmute yourself. He's the cutest.
Isn't he adorable?
What did you say? Is this your new chef?
No, I said this is my other baby.
I wish I was a chef. I'm his daughter.
But she got so big that she's not a baby anymore, so I have a new baby now, a new baby girl.
Oh, how wonderful!
That was one of my other baby girls.
Yes, I've met your older daughter, right?
Right,
your older daughter. I've not met. Maybe I have.
That's Jenna.
Jenna, hey Jenna. Okay, so did you say that was Rain?
Yes, Rane.
Okay, Rain, a boy or a girl?
She's a girl.
She's a girl. Oh, she loves you. Now, how big will Rain get?
Probably about 85 pounds.
Wow, look at her. And are you going to get more than just one, or are you just going to have?
No, just one. I want a dog like this who's a powerful dog, so I can go running with her on the beach and running with her in the woods and climbing mountains. So she has the exercise tolerance to keep up with me. And also she's not going to be in danger of being eaten by a coyote or a bobcat.
And will defend you.
This is a very, very, large and fearless dog. So it's not going to be, going to be able to travel with me in my travels and not be, I don't have to worry about animals. You know what I mean?
What a cutie. Everybody is loving Rain.
So
now,
Beauceron is spelled Beauceron, Beauceron, Beauceron. They're beautiful dogs, and they're very rare. They're not that common in this
I've
country.
never heard of a Beauceron.
Yeah, both.
I actually thought it was a Labrador or a not a, what is the other not a lab,
A Rottweiler, Doberman.
Rottweiler. That's who I
No, it
thought
is.
it was.
When we got her when she was 8 weeks, she was only 9 pounds, and now she's 27 pounds, and she's
Wow.
13 weeks. So she's gaining. all these-
Now is Rain Nutritarian?
Yes, but I do give her a little bit of animal product in her food, but mostly veg. Mostly she eats just what I eat. I'm her personal chef.
I'm sure that Rain will be making great appearances now that you've broken her into the Lillian McDermott radio show. What a beautiful dog. I can tell you're very happy to have her.
Yeah, she's very smart. She can do a lot of.
How do the residents like her?
She's very good. She's so good with people, and she's, and she's pretty obedient right now too. Like she comes and stays down and shakes hands and, does all the fetches and brings stuff back to me. And
She ate the fly.
no,
She ate the
fast
fly.
enough to catch the fly.
I think she caught the fly.
She eats everything, banana peels, anything. I got to keep the mulch away from her. She'll eat anything.
Really?
Anyway.
Okay, so nice to see you. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. We're going to be talking about emotional eating with Dr. Bradley Nelson.